Rhoa Mount. Look at that. $25 new skills. There's Marion Wisps. Rogue Exiles.
I shall bathe in your blood.
100 new uniques. Yo. New endgame mechanics. Look at that. New bosses. New maps. Hey. Oh my god. New maps, guys. Yo. Holy shit. Okay, that's new maps. Yo, that looks good, man. Okay, where's new maps?
As you can see, in Dawn of the Hunt, we're introducing the first new class since early access to PoE 2, the Huntress. The Huntress is a spear-wielding Asmeri warrior. Born into a society with strict traditions, she was exiled from her homeland after using the power of a skill gem to defend her village. As a dexterous spear user, she specializes in both melee and ranged combat, dashing into and out of battle. Spears have extended range and a short dash, but unlike other melee weapons, you can also throw them. In order to make a hybrid ranged and melee character work, we had to do a lot of thinking about ways to make it fun to both enter and exit.
Dude, that looks pretty
range.
fucking pog.
The first skill you will get as a Huntress is Whirling Slash. As well as striking in a circle around you, this skill creates a whirlwind that blinds
Spin
your
to win.
enemies. Leaving the whirlwind will make it explode. The more Whirling Slash is used, the bigger the whirlwind, and the bigger the explosion.
Looks strong.
Once you're out of there, you'll want to follow up with something ranged. Whip your spear around to shoot twisters towards your foes. These twisters bounce off walls and can hit enemies multiple times.
I thought that was a druid ability, but that's cool.
To shoot out extra tornadoes that do
Oh my god. Meaningful combat.
Offhand, the Huntress will usually want to hold a buckler, which allows you to do a new skill, parry. While holding down parry, your character will counterattack any incoming attack from monsters near you, stunning them. In addition, the monsters will take extra attack damage from your follow-up strike.
Parrying? What?
Some specific skills are designed to be used after a parry and have extra effects. Disengage is a skill that does a quick jump back, damaging enemies in front of you, and it can be used to interrupt other actions, like dodge roll. If you use it against a parried enemy though, it causes an explosion and gives you a frenzy charge.
Cool.
Just be careful.
Parry only run.
You're gonna get stunned and possibly killed. You can combine this combo with Whirling Slash. Slash, parry, disengage, and you'll get an explosion from the disengage and the Whirling Slash. The Huntress also has a variety of elemental spear throw attacks.
This looks insane.
You could use Lightning Spear to bounce lightning between your foes.
This is going to be so strong.
Spears into the ground. These spears take a while to detonate, but when they do, they'll incinerate anyone caught in the blast. All spear throws on the Huntress can also be empowered by frenzy charges.
Lightning strike is going to be insane.
For example, explosive spears will do an even larger explosion and leave fire on the ground. And these empowered versions can activate even more combos. Using Whirling Slash over ground fire will suck it into the whirlwind, adding fire to the explosion. Using twisters inside a fire whirlwind will shoot out fire tornadoes as well. And you can do similar combos with ice and lightning too.
Oh my god. That looks crazy.
A key aspect of hunting is exhausting your foes by causing blood
The ice spear is going to be crazy.
This skill is Rake, which dashes towards your target and unleashes a deadly slash, opening up wounds on your enemies.
Dude, this is Quinn.
Disengage and watch them bleed out as they run towards you.
Quinn is having a massive hard on.
The health bar of monsters,
he's
you can
all
see
about
how
them
much blood
bleeds.
loss the enemy has experienced, and the Huntress has skills to take advantage of this. For example, using Blood Hunt will thrust forward and cause a bloody explosion. The more blood loss, the bigger the explosion. If you want to cause bigger bleeds, try out Rapid Assault. The final hit of this multi-hit combo will stick a spear into your enemy for a big bleed. Now, Explosive Spear and Rapid Assault both result in leaving spears behind, either in the ground or in enemies. But there are other skills that leave spears around too, like Storm Lance, that leaves an electrical spear that arcs towards enemies. But what can you do with all these spears?
Oh my god.
Detonate them, of course. Thunderous Leap will allow you to jump onto and explode any spears either in the ground or in your enemies. Now, as well as hunting animals, the Huntress also has the ability to work with them. While
What?
fighting any beast, you have the ability to tame it and use it as a companion.
What?
You can only have one companion at a time, but it will keep the mods that were on it. Try to find a rare beast with good mods to take full advantage of your ability to tame them.
Quadrilla pet?
Now, this is just the beginning of the Huntress. We've really tried to make the hybrid ranged and melee gameplay work for this class by having a huge amount of synergy between ranged and melee options.
That's super cool.
There are 22 new skills available for the Huntress. By endgame, you'll be slinging hundreds of insanely powerful spears, sending forth spirit animals and summoning the might of Solaris.
Yeah, it looks so
from the
cool. Yo, look at that
But we still
beam.
haven't
What the
talked about
fuck?
ascendancy classes yet. What can the Huntress ascend into?
That
Well,
beam.
the first ascension class you could choose is the Ritualist. The Ritualist has embraced the darker side of his merry traditions by harnessing the power of animal sacrifice and plague. The Corrupted Life Force skill causes all enemies around you to grow volatile blood boils on their skin. When those enemies are slain, the boils will burst, spreading corrupted blood to all enemies around them.
Nice.
The Ritualist also excels in taking advantage of magical
One
trinkets.
ring slot?
The Unfurled Finger skill allows you to equip an additional ring
What?
on the finger around your neck.
And that with
Taking
ingenuity?
Mystic Attunement increases the bonuses of all the rings and amulets you have equipped.
That is crazy.
Now, this is one of my favorites. As the Whispers Ask grants you a new skill.
3
Ritual
rings?
Sacrifice. Use the skill on the corpses of slain rare
What?
monsters to absorb the power in their blood, to give you one of their modifiers for a short time.
What the fuck?
Specialize further into
That is so
Ritualistic
sick.
Sacrifice with As the Whispers Demand, which allows you to perform that skill on yourself instead of a corpse. Cut your own hand,
That is so
sacrificing some of your
stupid.
own blood to empower yourself. The Amazon Ascension is for those looking to hunt more than just beasts. Trained as an elite guard to the most important Asmeri elders, the Amazon will use more traditional fighting techniques mastered to perfection. The Predatory Instinct skill
They
will
have
cause
no
you
idea
to
what they're
reveal
doing.
weaknesses in the
No,
defenses
they
of rare
do.
and unique enemies, causing you to deal more damage. You can see those weak spots represented on their life bars. While using Elemental Infusion, any charges you consume will infuse your weapon with elemental power, causing any projectile attacks to explode on impact.
It's already as loud as it gets.
The Critical Strike skill is as simple as it sounds. It takes your excess accuracy and gives it to you as critical strike chance. Additionally, you have skills like Mystic Harvest, which allows your elemental damage to leech life, and as Mary Brew to be able to use either flask to restore both life and mana. So those are the 2 new ascendancies for the Huntress, but those are not the only ascendancies in Dawn of the Hunt. We've added a new ascension class for 3 of the other
Come
existing
on,
classes
warrior.
too.
Let's go.
First up, for our warriors out there, we have the Smith of Kitava.
Woo! Here we go.
The warrior is a blacksmith in origin, taught by his father Renly. With this ascension, you can take your smithing skills to new heights by embracing power
Wait,
from
what the fuck?
insatiable one himself.
You're gonna
Kitava.
stand in the middle of a map and start
Smiths of Kitava
hitting.
are master blacksmiths and have the ability to forge their weapon, quite literally. Using the Against the Anvil notable skill, you can enhance your weapon with fiery destruction before any battle. After doing so, your attacks will release explosions on hit for maximum devastation.
Okay, that seems super
You can
clunky.
also use the power of Kitava to summon an animated copy of your weapon to fight alongside you.
Okay, that's cool.
A great blacksmith can do more than just forging their weapon, though. Their armor can be enhanced too. Now, you might think this Ascendancy class tree looks a little abnormal, and
What?
you're right.
Huh?
There's a lot of notable skills all disconnected at the bottom there. By taking this point here, which is free to assign, your character is unable to equip body armors with mods of any kind. So your body armor must be normal. Sounds like a downside, right? Except now in true blacksmith fashion, you get to craft your own body armor by taking those disconnected notables with your points. If you want your body armor to grant life, take this notable. If you want resistances, take this one. There's so many choices. Think of it like you're crafting your own body armor, just in a more literal sense. Now, let's move on to those who prefer the reassuring feel of a crossbow in their hands, the Mercenary. Alongside the existing Ascension classes, the Gemling Legionnaire and the Witch Hunter, you can now play
I
as the
mean,
Tactician.
sorry guys, but that sounds kind
The
of shit.
Tactician is a former blackguard. Free from the duties of a blackguard, he is able to use his training to decimate
That
the
sounds
monsters of
really
raid class
bad.
and earn a healthy income doing so. This training comes in the form of various skills like suppressing fire, which causes all projectiles to pin enemies. When combined with the right where we want them notable, your pin not only stops your enemies from moving, but stops them from performing actions too, similar to freeze. With a soldier's training, the Tactician also works well cooperatively. Using the whoever pays best notable, you can place
I always
multiple
hated
banners at
banners, so I'm
once.
probably not like
The
this.
Watch How We Do It skill gives a portion of your weapon's damage to your allies as well.
It's probably strong, but
But if
not
that
my
isn't
thing.
enough, you can also command your army of off-screen archers to unleash hell and carpet
Off-screen
an entire
archers.
area with arrows. Finally, Witch players will be able to join their
Alright.
legions by becoming undead themselves. In Dawn of the Hunt, we're introducing the Lich Ascension class. The Lich is a master of chaos and curses and could sacrifice her life to enhance her energy shield.
Energy
The Crystalline
shield.
Phylactery skill allows you to
This is gonna be
nominate a
OP.
jewel in which to contain part of your soul, massively increasing its power. There's just one downside to splitting your soul this way, though. If you have no energy shield, your mana costs will shoot up. The Necromantic
What the fuck?
Conduit skill causes you and allies in your presence to have unholy might, granting extra damage as chaos damage.
Okay.
Rupture the Soul makes enemies you curse explode with chaos damage when slain.
Dude, they really love ES.
Dominion over Flesh allows you to apply an additional curse.
How did they make a warrior spec that's even worse than what we've already had?
It's safe to say you'll be the true master of the occult by
I'm so
choosing the Lich
confused.
class. So Dawn of the Hunt has the Huntress and 5 new Ascension classes, but it doesn't end there. Let's take a look at some of the new skills we've added. Now you may remember we've previously talked about the Raise Spectre skill. It's finally complete, and it will be made available in the upcoming expansion. It can be
Alright.
found in the occult skills on the skill gem crafting panel. Raise Spectre is a skill that allows you to trap the soul of almost any monster in the game, which you can then summon in the skill panel. Spectres cost spirit and will revive automatically if they die, but the spirit cost varies based on the power of the monster. You could summon an army of weaker monsters, or a few of the more powerful
I think
monsters.
this one is a bit more
You can
focused
combine them
around
with their existing skeleton minions, or summon
Minions.
exclusively specters. It's all up to you and how you want to customize your army of the undead. Given that there are hundreds upon hundreds of monster variants in Path of Exile 2, it's safe to say you'll be experimenting with this one for a while. We look forward to seeing which monsters serve you best. Now let's move on to our next skill. Since we've been talking about summoning undead so much, let's have a change of pace and summon something a little more alive. In Dawn of the Hunt, we're adding the Summon Rhoa skill. Summon your friendly Rhoa to aid you in combat as a minion. You can also mount your Rhoa in combat at any time,
Yeah, but
allowing
this
you
is
to
only
move
for
at full
range.
speed, even while shooting arrows or throwing spears. Be wary though, if you take too much damage while riding your mount, you can be knocked off and get overwhelmed.
This is literally just for
It's worth
range.
keeping an eye on your stagger bar, as falling off the mount can mean almost certain death. On the topic of new ways to enhance your character, let's talk about support gems. Support gems are used to modify your skill gems in meaningful and interesting ways. Currently, we feel that a lot of builds have insufficient options here. To alleviate this, we're adding over 100 new support gems.
Whoa!
Hema crystals
100?
will enable a new kind of bleed build, turning the damage over time you would have done into explosive Vile crystals.
100 new support gems.
Alignment is a support gem for bow
Holy
attacks,
fuck.
which can reward skilled players with good positional skills. Caltrops will allow you to litter the battlefield with hazards, slowing your foes as you fling spears through their ranks. But there's plenty more for every playstyle,
Oh my
such as
God.
Enormity,
Wait, what?
Unsteady Tempo, Profanity,
Yo.
Retaliate, Syzygy.
40%.
Yep, that's a real word.
Tsesegi? What? How?
And many more. Now, we've talked about a new class, new ascendancy classes, new skills, and new support gems. But let's not forget about the core of a true action RPG, the items.
Ooh.
To start with, let's talk about uniques. We're adding over 100 new unique items. This time, we've made sure to add uniques with a focus on mid and endgame tiers to make sure there are more exciting items to find for higher level characters. Let's look at some examples. Embrace your inner devil with Chernobog's Pillar. It grants you a large amount of fire damage based on your block chance.
Whoa. Okay.
The Coming
75.
Calamity allows you to become a true master of the elements, granting you all 3 Elemental Herald skills without costing any spirit. At the same time, it penalizes enemy resistances. Waste Gate is a belt useful for builds using a single resource like Blood Magic or Archmage builds.
Charm
With this
slots,
belt, you can
1.
use 2 life flasks or 2 mana flasks. It's
Still
up to
seeing
you.
only 1 charm
Now we
slot
could
there.
go through these all day, but we'll leave most of them for you to discover. Suffice to say, though, we want there to be way more cool things to find.
Look at the arts, man.
Over
Insane.
time, our goal is to add a unique to every single base item type at a minimum, so that you can chance any base in the game. Now, given that we have the Huntress, we have a set of unique spares from early game all the
We'll
way
see
through
them
the
all
end game
soon,
as well.
guys.
One example is Scyther's Spear, which combines bleed and fire in a powerful way. It allows your ignites to be aggravated, dealing substantially more damage. We're also introducing a suite of unique bucklers with some interesting parry
Infinite
mechanics.
projectile parry range.
Gyra's Arc, for example, allows you to parry projectiles from any distance. And we're also adding our first unique charms.
Ooh, there we
Baylor's
go.
Anguish
I was
will not only
right.
protect you from ignite,
Unique charm.
will also emit a devastating
Another
fire nova
check.
whenever you do get ignited. In sum, there's just a ton of new uniques to find. We can't wait to see the weird and broken builds that come out of it. Now, we also want to talk about crafting options. In each major update during early access, we'll be continuing to add and improve the options here. We have various new crafting tools that have been added as rewards to many of the different types of new content that we're adding. But for now, I just want to mention the changes to runes. Runes add commonly available mods, but since they only have one tier, flat damage mods tend
More
to get outclassed by
tiers.
in-game. So we've changed runes to have multiple tiers, allowing you to get higher tier mods than before. Our plan is to significantly expand
that
the
is
number of
really
more
cool.
specialized mods for crafting using socketables as we add new content over time. And the first new set of those comes from what we're talking about next. In Dawn of the Hunt, we're adding Asmarian Wisps, which can be found throughout both the campaign and the endgame.
Wisps. Okay.
The Asmari spirit has made itself present in Rayclast, and it appears to be trying to warn, or maybe prepare us for the coming darkness. You will first encounter a manifestation of it in the Grellwood in Act 1,
Actual
where you'll meet
leak.
Delwyn, an Asmari hunter who is trying to find out what exactly is causing the spirit to behave this way. As you approach the wisp, it will flee, leading you past monsters. Any monsters it comes into contact with are infused by it, making them more powerful. Each spirit is associated with a specific revered animal within Asmari culture. This one is a wisp of the Great Bear, and grants enemies extra life and stun. The wisp moves faster the closer you are, and as you move away, they slow down to wait for you.
It's kind of like Delph.
But if you get too far away for too long, they'll dissipate and return to the woods. As you continue to chase the wisp, it will find and possess a rare or unique monster, granting it a new powerful ability. Because this was a wisp of the Great Bear, this monster now also has increased life and stun. But on top of that, it will periodically summon a large spectral bear that slams with wild fury.
Okay, so it's kind of like
If you're
wisps.
able to defeat this foe,
Like normal
you will
wisps?
be rewarded. For each monster that was infused and killed along the way, the rewards will be increased. Each wisp has its own mechanics. The Wisp of the Winter Owl is a primal
That's
wisp that
kinda
causes
cool.
enemies to deal extra cold damage, gain energy shield, and release wind vortices on death. When infusing a monster, they will
looks
call
fantastic.
down large tornadoes to protect their host. The Wisp of the Wild Cat is a vivid wisp that causes affected monsters to deal more critical strikes.
I like how they introduce
and become more
wisps
evasive.
and
When it
make it
infuses
kind of
a
very
monster,
different,
it will
but very
summon
cool.
a barrage of feline spirits that will attempt
Holy
to tear
shit.
you limb from
Yo,
limb.
thank you for the subs, guys.
If you're lucky, you may even find sacred wisps that can do some pretty crazy things to the monsters they influence. Like the Wisp of the Cunning Fox, which turns normal monsters
The
into
Coming
magics,
Fox?
magic monsters into rares, and rare monsters into actual bosses.
Yo, what the fuck, dude? Holy
Asmarian Wisps
shit.
can drop a new set of socketable items that allow you to craft a wide range of interesting new mods onto your items.
Gloves? Oh.
Each one may only be used on a specific item slot. As
Yo.
mentioned, the Asmarian Wisps
Okay,
can be
new
encountered
currency.
throughout the game.
Boom, check.
But there's also a new endgame map called the Asmari Ranges.
New
a
map?
mountain village where the Asmari once lived, now overrun
Yo.
with feral monsters. This map always has multiple Asmarian Wisps in it, and familiar, yet not quite the same boss fight.
Nice.
Asmarian Wisps can also be further modified by the endgame Atlas tree as well,
Nice.
and by tablets. But I'm not going to be the one talking about those things. In order to cover all the new content in in-game, I'm going to hand things over to Mark.
Hi, I'm Mark Roberts, Game Director on Path of Exile 2. There's a ton to talk about with the endgame today, so let's dig right in. Path of Exile 2's early access began with a brand new endgame, and it was
Uh-oh.
clear that it
Dead
needed
ends.
a lot of work. After absorbing your feedback, we're ready to make some epic changes.
Ooh.
The first thing is, we just need a lot more content.
Yes.
In Dawn of the Hunt, we have made sure to focus on increasing the sheer number of interesting and different encounters you will randomly stumble into as you explore the endgame. And the second goal is to smoothen the progression through maps and reduce the amount of annoying busy work.
Nice.
To start with, let's talk about the new interesting stuff to find. Well, the most obvious thing to add are new maps. As well as the Asmeri ranges
look
that
at
Jonathan
this.
mentioned earlier,
It
Dawn
will
of the
look
Hunt
so
also
good.
contains 7 other new maps.
With all the delirium
all
fog.
with their own custom encounters. Let's start with this one.
The Feral Megaliths map
Looks
starts off
really
in the
nice.
wild Ezomite forests. As you progress through the forest, you will find mysterious rune-carved stones that, when touched, surge with energy. After activating all the stones, you can find a grand henge, where all the energy is coalescing. You can then start an encounter. The area darkens, a storm moves in, and a concentration of energy summons a dangerous boss.
What the fuck?
You must fight and defeat
The
the
way it
boss to get its
spawns.
rewards. Once you have defeated it, summon another. And another. And another. And another. You have 10 total waves of boss fights which get incrementally more difficult. If you manage to defeat them, you get full boss rewards, but also opportunities to get new runes. These can only be obtained from this map. The Fractured Lake contains a surreal waterscape
It's
with
cool.
fractured mirror-like objects.
This is
As
very
you
cool.
move around the map, the terrain itself elevates from below, creating
Yo.
the ground you walk on.
Wait, we've
In
seen this
unique
before.
Map, all the rare monsters are mirrored, so you're always fighting 2 of the same rare at the same time, which
That
can
is
prove
so cool.
quite difficult.
I
If
love
you manage
this.
to overcome that challenge and make it to the end of the map, you'll be presented with a broken mirror, a powerful altar-like object that contains an item within it.
Oh, look at that!
The item contained within is a new base type, either an amulet or a ring.
Look at
That
this.
can be crafted to have additional prefixes
There we go.
or suffixes.
You still
at the
don't
cost
like
of the
this?
other. The last unique
Dude, that's
map we'll
fucking
show
insane.
today is one based around the essence mechanic. You enter a crystalline cavern, and you will find a powerful map boss imprisoned in the center. It is surrounded by many rare monsters, also imprisoned in essences. By freeing and defeating the rare monsters, the essence they held will be upgraded to a greater essence, and be added to the imprisoned map boss. How brave are you? How many essences will you add to the boss?
All of them.
Overdo it, and you might lose everything. Underdo it, and you might regret it.
Wait, I have only
It's
one
your
chance.
choice.
He died really quick.
Speaking of essences, alongside visual improvements, you're now able to apply Varlorbs to corrupt the essences, with a range of unpredictable outcomes. It could increase
Pog?
the number of essences, re-roll all the essences to the same type, or even upgrade the essences to greater essences.
Nice.
What if they're already greater essences? Well, it can upgrade those too.
Huh?
We have 4 new corrupted essences. Essence of Hysteria, Delirium,
Insanity.
Horror, and Insanity.
Yo.
Each corrupted essence has its own interesting combat mechanics. For example, the essence of Insanity causes you to question even your own mind, as monsters split into shadowy clones, and you must locate the real one before a devastating icy explosion freezes everything around it. Each of these has their own crafting outcomes. The essence of Insanity can be applied to a belt. It adds a mod that will ensure the next Varlorb used on the belt will guarantee adding 2 enchantments.
Whoa, what? What?
It's worth noting, all the essences in the unique map can also be corrupted
It's still
too.
gonna not be better
If
than
you're willing to
Ingenuity
risk
though,
it.
but nice.
It's worth noting we have also added 10 extra Atlas passive points you can earn by completing 5 different unique maps.
I mean, you're not gonna put it on a belt, obviously, but
Now, new maps are just the
dude,
beginning.
that's really cool.
We had a goal where we wanted to make sure you were
That's gonna
constantly
be
finding
expensive.
exciting new content, and that it could be lurking around any corner. So, we have added a bunch of new things that you could stumble into in any map you run.
On your travels, you will sometimes encounter rogue exiles. Others like you who have been exiled and are openly hostile. Some are malicious, some are mad, while others are simply fiends for loot. They will challenge you, a fight to the death.
Exiles.
They use the same skills available to players, and even the same items. They aren't just dressed up in those items, they're actually using them. It's going to feel like a true player versus player situation.
Okay.
Of course, if you are able to slay these exiles, those items will all drop on the ground.
What?
So if you encounter,
No!
which you can see displayed under their life bar, you want to be damn sure you kill them. Because if they kill you and your party, they'll
drop all
portal
your
out,
items.
taking their items with them. Every fight will feel completely different
dude.
depending on the items they come equipped with. These Exiles are much smarter than your regular monster. They have capabilities to dodge roll, avoid your abilities
this
with
is
smart
so cool.
pathfinding, smart targeting, and much more.
Yeah, I want to see
action-packed
Astramantis.
Fortunately, they're like you, and they're not super durable. Unless, of course, they're wearing uniques like Calm's Heart, in which case, expect a longer battle. There are 12 different rogue exiles you can find, each with their own skills and personalities. Some
my
may insult
goodness.
you, while others may admire your honor in combat.
Another encounter you might stumble onto in Dawn of the Hunt
Rogue Exile
are
is
one
so
of
cool.
4
I love
new
that.
unique Strongboxes.
Strongboxes are chests with modifiers. When you try to open them, they activate traps and spawn waves of monsters that you must defeat to access the loot. Let's take a look at 2 of the new unique boxes that are harder to find and behave just a little bit differently. The Ogham's Legacy Strongbox has a corpse splayed out in front of the rune-carved stone. Upon interacting with the stone, you activate Forbidden Ezomite magic, which revives the monster as a powerful rare.
Okay.
The Strongbox comes with a modifier which determines how many times it will revive that rare. Each time you defeat the monstrosity, the Strongbox revives it again, adding an extra modifier to the monster. With
That
each
is
resurrection,
fucking
it becomes
cool.
more difficult, but also more rewarding. This Strongbox is infused with Thaumaturgy
But what
from
does the
ancient
box
style
drop?
technology. Eshell's Torment has a powerful artifact inside, and is guarded by Chaos itself. Defeating the monsters will grant you a unique item, with a specific corrupted outcome.
Nice.
You'll have to find the other 2 for yourself to see what they do.
Now,
That looks
let's
fun.
talk about the introduction to the endgame. Upon starting the endgame, Doriani tasks you with cleansing corruption to help restore the land. However, in practice, the quest objective just sent you on a grind to clear 15 maps. We wanted to make the quest to unlock your Atlas passives much more interesting.
Now, Doriani is tasking you with a more specific
this.
objective. On the Atlas, you will find areas of corruption caused by the beast. In the center of each one, you will find a corrupted nexus, the source of the affliction. In the areas leading up to the nexus, you will notice that corruption spills out from slain enemies and amalgamates into powerful monsters.
Nice.
Corrupted maps existed on the Atlas before, but we've done significant work on improving these monsters. We've
More
also done
beyond.
a full pass on the modifiers on these maps to make them more interesting and more rewarding.
The Atlas
Once
looks
you
a
reach
little
the
better
nexus,
as
you will
well.
have a new task. Cleanse the source of corruption. When you defeat the last rare in those maps, they will spawn one of 3 terrifying bosses, amalgamations of corruption itself. After defeating that boss, Doriani will come and cleanse the corruption for good. As the remains of the boss are purged of corruption, it coalesces into raw crystallized power, which you can use to gain points for your Atlas passive skill tree.
Nice.
The upgrade system that allows you to add and enhance content in your maps. We didn't stop
Whoa,
there, though.
what is this?
When you complete a corrupted nexus, all of the remaining surrounding corrupted maps will become cleansed maps.
Okay.
Cleansed maps also have new monsters, a new
Wow.
boss,
Look
and
at
their
that.
own set of modifiers and rewards, including finding fracturing orbs by slaying cleansed enemies.
Dude, I love these massive fucking beams.
These orbs can be used in crafting on a rare item to cause one of its modifiers to become fractured. A fractured modifier is one that cannot be
Fractured?
modified by any means.
No!
You are able to freely modify the item, ensuring the fractured modifier will never change. If you get the right item with the right mod, it can prove to be a very powerful crafting base indeed. You must now choose. Do you complete all the corrupted maps and
I
then
like
the Nexus?
this.
Or maybe you beeline to the Nexus, complete it, and do all the remaining maps cleansed. Both have rewards to entice you and challenges to
Dude,
assess.
that is so cool.
Now, let's have a talk about towers.
One thing we've had a lot of feedback on is the busy work around running towers and managing your tablets.
Wait, we can add more?
The first change we've made here is that we have reduced the number of towers drastically. So
Thank
there
you.
are now 1/3 as many as before, but we've made them much more powerful.
Okay. Nice.
To start with, tablets now inherently add twice as many mechanics. But that's not all. Running higher tier maps and towers
I
now
actually
increases
mentioned
the
this.
number of mechanics applied by tablets.
I mentioned this.
By tier 15, the bonus is double, allowing a single tablet to now add 4 times as many mechanics as before.
What?
So, We're running far fewer towers, dealing with fewer tablets, and affecting even more maps than before.
Yeah, I
But
love GGG.
because there are fewer towers overlapping with each other, you won't get as many opportunities to stack different tablets. In order to solve this, we've made it so that each tower can consume up to 3 tablets at once.
Fucking sick.
You always get 1 slot on completing the tower.
See, they're
But if you
cooking,
can
guys.
complete a tower with more mods on the Waystone, you can unlock a 2nd or 3rd slot.
Dude, this is a
Overall, this
massive
allows
W.
for even more juicing from towers, while drastically reducing the amount of busy work you have to do.
Yo,
On top of
guys.
that, towers are much more interesting maps because they can now spawn with all mechanics,
This is
including
good.
bosses.
This is really,
Each
really
tower map
good.
has a new boss. Let's take a look at a couple here.
The boss fight of the Alpine Ridge map has 2 powerful
That's
witches
such a
contesting
big
for
fucking
territory.
W.
One witch has an affinity for ice, the other fire. Who will win? Hopefully neither. The boss of the Sinking Spire map is a remnant of the Val that has been charged with lightning. It uses a full suite of lightning abilities, but be careful. If any of them hit the surrounding constructs, they will power up.
Well, she parries
Another
the
thing that
lightning.
we've seen a lot of feedback about is sustaining Waystones. As we looked into it, we realized that the people who couldn't sustain Waystones were dying a lot. A lot more than we had expected. And that made us realize something. During the campaign, the expectation is that you can die multiple times in order to learn how to overcome challenges. You are able to learn how the monsters behave, adapt to their skills, and eventually overcome them. But as soon as you get to the endgame, you are effectively no longer allowed to die if you want to sustain Waystones. By the time you are getting towards the end
Multiple
of endgame,
portals are back.
we want you to have to be careful not to die. But it certainly shouldn't be that we have such a sudden shift as you run your first maps.
Oh, it's based on
The
tiers.
first change we're making is you can now respawn and return to a map if you die. Continuing from where you left off.
Dude, we're back.
When you start the endgame, you get up to 6
We're
total
back!
attempts per map.
It's based
As
on
you add
tier.
more modifiers to a Waystone, the number of respawns goes down.
Dude, I love this. This is good.
This means that as you get to the point that you're running every Waystone as a rare,
Yeah, this is great.
you
I
will
love
have
this.
to be more careful.
This is good. Dude, they're cooking. This is fantastic. I love this.
In parties, everyone gets to respawn that number of times.
This is definitely good.
But we still think it's important that you can kill a boss in one go. In order to allow that to happen, we've made a change so that once you start the boss fight, it changes over to the same respawning system we use for pinnacle bosses. This
Okay.
means that the map owner can choose to respawn everyone at the same time. Another complaint we've seen a lot of is players not wanting to do the pinnacle content because of the experience penalty from dying. A change we've made here is that all pinnacle content now no longer grants experience, but also no longer removes experience on death either.
I love that. Yo.
Dawn of the Hunt also brings
That's
the
cool.
first batch of Twilight Order
You don't have to
reliquary
wait
keys from the
until
early
you've
access
leveled.
supporter packs.
Wait, what? New
These
supporter
keys
packs?
contain items selected by our supporters. They can contain any unique item found in Path of
Whoa.
Exile 2.
Here we
If the
go.
selected item is a pinnacle boss drop, then only special keys dropped by this content will be able to provide these items. For example,
Reliquary
Hand of Wisdom in
keys.
action can only come from a key dropped by Zesht. We're also making a change that allows pinnacle boss uniques to drop at any difficulty. Rarer uniques will be rarer at lower difficulties, but still possible to find.
Yeah, I
This
talked
applies
about
to the
this
drop
today
chances
as
for
well.
the reliquary keys from this content as well.
Perfect. That's great.
We spoke about towers and tablets earlier,
Oh, this is such
but
a
we
good
have also
patch,
added a
dude.
suite of unique tablets.
Holy shit.
Each of these adds crazy interactions to the
Unique
map's influenced
tablets?
fire. For example, this unique tablet allows you to run any map in a tower's radius without requiring connections, which can be quite useful for jumping gaps and traveling around your atlas.
Yo!
And this
What?
tablet causes all runic monsters spawned during expedition encounters to be duplicated, and weakens all expedition monsters that emerge
Dude,
from
that
the
fixes
ground.
everything.
The Atlas tree has also been expanded, and you can find many of the new
Everything I
mechanics
complain
there,
about is fixed.
and improvements to existing ones too.
Now,
Oh
through
my
this
God.
live stream, we have mentioned quite a few new crafting options that we've added. New runes, corrupted essences, fractured mods, and jewelry crafting bases. But we did have just one more crafting system to talk about.
Yes, come on.
Recombination.
Expedition was the only in-game mechanic that was
Recombination?
lacking a crafting system.
What?
So that needed to change. Recombination is a mechanic that might be familiar to
No
some
way.
players. It allows you to merge 2 items together,
What?
hoping to get the best elements of each on a single
Oh
new
my
item.
god.
This new crafting bench will be unlocked as you complete your
You
first
called it.
expedition.
You
and
did.
requires artifacts found during expeditions to fuel it. The rarer the mods on the item you are
expedition,
combining, the more
no!
expensive the cost.
That
We
wraps
have
up
to do
all the major
expedition.
in-game changes we're talking about today. With all the system changes and new content, we can't wait to get in there,
Oh,
start
well.
blasting maps, and obliterating monsters. There is one more thing we wanted to clarify before we move on, which is that all the content we've talked about today will be made available in
man.
the existing early access leagues,
Recom,
so you can
dude.
play your existing
Dude, that's
characters.
awesome.
However, there will be new leagues made for those who wish to start in a fresh economy. It is recommended to start over and get the full new experience in the Dawn of the Hunt leagues.
That is such a sick one.
For all our existing early access players, we're really looking forward to joining you playing in this new update. For those who don't already have access and are interested in playing Path of Exile 2, Dawn of the Hunt,
This is gonna
you
be
are
so
able to
sick.
at any time purchase an early access supporter pack at www.pathofexile2.com. Additionally, the
Ooh.
Paladin and Penance supporter packs are now available to purchase in Path of Exile 2 and contain 6 microtransactions each and the full pack's face value in points.
I get my cool looking
All the
enchants.
microtransactions contained within
Woo!
these packs are purely cosmetic and do not affect your character's power or progression in any way.
My
Thank you so
MTX,
much
hell
for
yeah,
your
dude.
ongoing